Have you ever looked at the world and thought, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense? You see a strange headline, a bizarre political decision, or a new trend that pops up out of nowhere, and you just scratch your head. It feels like we're all watching a movie, where the plot is just a little too convenient. This is where the idea of secret elites comes in. It's the ultimate conspiracy theory, the big one. The idea is that a small, hidden group of incredibly powerful people, we're talking billionaires, ancient families, maybe even lizard people with really good skincare routines, are secretly pulling all the strings. They're the ones deciding who wins elections, what wars start, and why the price of avocados suddenly goes through the roof. It's a wild thought, but you can see why it sticks around. Now let's be clear. We're not talking about your regular, everyday rich people. No, this isn't just about the guy who owns a yacht. This is about the people who own the company that builds the yachts, the ocean the yachts sail on, and the fish that swim under them. These secret elites are supposedly operating from the shadows, meeting in secret mountain lairs or fancy underground bunkers that probably have amazing catering. They make the big decisions that shape our lives, and we, the regular folks, are just actors in their grand play. We think we have free will. We think we're making our own choices, but really are we? Or are we just choosing between the options they've already laid out for us, like picking a character in a video game they designed? Think about it like this. You go to vote, and you have 2, maybe 3 serious choices. But who decided those were the choices? You turn on the news, and they're all talking about the same story. Who decided that was the most important story of the day? The theory says it's the elites. They control the media, they finance the politicians, they run the big corporations, they create the problems, and then, conveniently, offer the solutions. Solutions that almost always seem to make them even richer and more powerful. It's a pretty slick setup if you can get it. They're the ultimate puppet masters, and the rest of us are just dancing on their strings, completely unaware of who is controlling our movements. This whole idea taps into a deep-seated feeling that things are not as they seem. It's the suspicion that the chaos we see is actually carefully orchestrated. When a global crisis hits and certain companies make record profits, people start to wonder. When politicians make promises they never keep, but the world keeps turning in a way that benefits the super wealthy, the whispers get louder. Are these just coincidences? Is it just the messy, unpredictable nature of human society? Or is there a grand, hidden script? The idea of a secret elite offers a simple answer to a very complicated world, and that's a powerful thing. It gives us a villain, a single target for all our frustrations. So, what would life actually look like if this were true? Imagine a world where every major event is pre-planned. The economy wouldn't just have ups and downs, it would have controlled demolitions. A recession might be engineered to buy up assets on the cheap. A new technology, like a revolutionary clean energy source, could be suppressed for decades to keep the oil money flowing. Your job, your mortgage rates, even the songs you hear on the radio, all could be part of a larger strategy. It's a world of invisible walls and unseen forces, where your path in life is less about your hard work and more about which slot the elites have assigned you to. It sounds like a sci-fi movie, but for some, it feels very real. The changes would be subtle at first, then all-encompassing. Maybe you notice that no matter who you vote for, the big policies never really change. The rich keep getting richer, and the environment keeps getting, well, you might see new laws that seem to benefit a handful of corporations while making life harder for everyone else. Freedom of speech might technically exist, but the platforms where you can speak are controlled, and certain ideas get amplified while others are silenced. Your smart devices would listen not just for your shopping lists, but for your dissent. It's a world of manufactured consent, where people are guided to want the things the elites want them to want. This control would extend to every part of society. Education would be designed not to create critical thinkers, but to produce compliant workers for the system. History books would be written to tell a story that justifies the elite's power. Entertainment, movies, music, and TV shows would be filled with messages that reinforce their worldview, making it seem like the natural order of things. Think about it. If you can control the stories a society tells itself, you can control that society. You wouldn't need soldiers on every corner if you could convince everyone that this is the best and only way for things to be. The control would be so deep we might not even recognize it as control. Of course, there might be some good things depending on your perspective. In this world, there might be less chaos. With a single group in charge, global conflicts could be avoided because they're bad for business. Major projects like fighting a pandemic or colonizing Mars could be executed with incredible efficiency, without all the political squabbling. The trains would run on time, but the question is, where are they taking us? It would be a world of order and stability, but it would be a fragile, artificial peace. It's the kind of quiet you find in a library, but you're not allowed to read most of the books. True progress, born from debate and disagreement, would be impossible. So why do so many people find these ideas so compelling? Well, for one, the world is complicated. It's messy and confusing and often feels random and unfair. A conspiracy theory, especially one about a powerful elite, provides a simple explanation for all that chaos. It takes a million different problems: poverty, war, political corruption, that one TV show getting canceled, and points to a single cause. It's like, instead of trying to fix 100 leaks in your house, someone tells you there's just one big crack in the foundation. It's a scary thought, but at least it's a single thought. It gives you a sense of understanding, a feeling of being in the know. This feeling of being in the know is a powerful drug. It makes you feel special, like you've been given a secret map while everyone else is lost in the woods. You're not one of the sheep, you're awake. This is especially appealing when you feel powerless in your own life. If you feel like the system is rigged against you, believing in a secret cabal confirms your suspicions. It's not your fault you're struggling, it's their fault. This isn't just an excuse, it's a way of making sense of injustice. It provides a clear enemy to rally against, which can be more comforting than facing the reality that sometimes things are just complex and unfair for no good reason at all. Furthermore, let's be honest, there's a kernel of truth in some of these ideas. Powerful people meet in private. Wealthy individuals and corporations have a massive influence on politics. Just look at events like the World Economic Forum in Davos, where billionaires and world leaders gather to discuss the future. While they say they're trying to solve the world's problems, it's not crazy to think they're also looking out for their own interests. When you see real-life examples of backroom deals and corporate lobbying, it's not a huge leap to imagine that there's even more happening that we don't see. The theory just takes that reality and dials it up to 11. The human brain is also wired to see patterns, even when they're not there. We connect dots. It's how we survived in the wild. That rustle in the bushes could be a predator. In the modern world, our brains do the same thing with information. We see a few strange events, our brain connects them with a line, and suddenly we have a conspiracy. The media, especially social media, acts as a giant echo chamber, amplifying these connections until they feel like undeniable proof. An algorithm shows you one video, then another and another, and before you know it, you're convinced that all world leaders are part of the same secret club. If we lived in this world, the outcomes could be a strange mix of good and bad. On the one hand, a centralized power could, in theory, solve huge problems. Imagine a secret elite deciding to end climate change. They could force every corporation to go green, fund massive carbon capture projects, and switch the world to renewable energy in a decade. There would be no political gridlock, no public debate, just action. They could eradicate poverty or cure diseases with a snap of their fingers. The potential for good is enormous, creating a perfectly stable, efficient, and prosperous global society. It's a utopia built on a foundation of absolute control. But that control is the poison pill. The negative side is terrifying. A world without real freedom, without dissent, without the beautiful, messy chaos of democracy is a grim place. What happens when the elite's vision for humanity doesn't align with yours? What if their perfect world involves getting rid of people they deem undesirable? Without checks and balances, their power would be absolute. And we all know what they say about absolute power. Every decision would be made to preserve their own position at the top. Innovation would stagnate, art would become propaganda, and the human spirit, which thrives on freedom and challenge, would wither. It would be a golden cage, comfortable but ultimately suffocating. This leads to a real-world dilemma for people's feelings and actions. If you believe this is happening, you can feel a mix of fear, anger, and helplessness. Some people react by trying to expose the truth, falling deeper down the rabbit hole of research and connecting more dots on their conspiracy boards. Others might become cynical and disengage completely, figuring there's no point in voting or participating in a system that's already rigged. and some might be pushed towards more extreme actions, believing that a corrupt system must be torn down. The belief itself, whether true or not, has real consequences for how people interact with society. So, this brings us to the final, most important question. What can we, the regular people, do if we suspect that powerful groups are making secret choices that affect our lives? How do we hold power accountable when it operates in the shadows? Do we demand more transparency from our leaders and corporations? Do we support independent journalism that isn't afraid to ask tough questions? Or do we focus on building stronger communities from the ground up, creating local systems that are less vulnerable to manipulation from above? The answer probably isn't simple, but maybe the first step is just to keep asking the question. Because the moment we stop questioning who has the power is the moment we've already given it all away.